We'll get started in 1 minute.
Good morning. Good to see you.
All right, welcome. Please get seated so we can get started. Matt, I think we're up here.
All right. Good morning. Good morning.
All right, welcome. Ben. All right, well, welcome. It is exactly 8:30, so fantastic. And I will call this meeting to order. It's August 23rd. We're recording this session. My name is Guido Minaya, Chair of the Horizon Council. August 23rd, 8:30. We're at Florida Southwestern State College. And let's start with a Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And let's continue with member introductions.
Good morning. I'm Ray Sandelli, Lee County Commissioner, District 3.
Good morning, everyone. Mark Moore, Assistant County Manager, representing Dave Harner, County Manager.
Good morning. Sam Fisher. I'm the Chair of the Lee County School Board.
Hello, Gerard Carrington, Florida Gulf Coast University. Go Eagles.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. Jeff Albritton, President of Florida Southwestern. Go Bucks. Good morning. Tom Hayden, Cape Coral City. Council, I'll just say, go Cape Coral. How's that? Yeah, we don't really have a nickname.
Laura Carr, City of Bonita Springs Council.
Good morning, Robbie Rebstorff, Edison National Bank, Bank of the Islands, and I represent the Industrial Development Authority.
Good morning, Gary Tasman, Cushman and Wakefield Commercial Properties, Southwest Florida, and I'm representing the Business Issues Committee.
Good morning, Adam Palmer, LQ Commercial Sports Council Committee Chair.
Good morning, Richard Aiken with Henderson Franklin, representing the Bylaws Task Force.
Good morning, Shelby Bauckham, STEM to Career Connections Task Force.
Good morning, Mark Bluss, Pawnbroker Restaurant Group, representing Sanibel Captiva Chambers of Commerce.
Good morning, Tom Mueller with the ReWorld, formerly Covanta Energy, rebranded, representing the Chamber of Southwest Florida.
Good morning, Jackie Lezak, representing Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, my name is Tom Houlihan, representing the Industrial Development Authority.
Good morning, Randy Chris Commercial Group, representing the Lee County Port Authority Airport Special Management Committee.
Happy Friday, Ryan Richards, RG Architects, representing the American Institute of Architects.
Megan Baskin, Associate Professor of Management, FGCU, Wings Up, representing Leadership Next.
Good morning, Richard Durling with Marvin Homes, representing the Lee Building Industry Association.
Julia Ramirez, Executive Director, Lee County Medical Society.
Dahlia Singer with Florida Department of Transportation's Commute Connector.
Good morning. Rob Harris, Executive Director of the Southwest Regional Manufacturers Association.
Buenos dias, everyone. Edie Button, Cashflow Strategies Business Coaching and Consulting, and I'm the chair for the Southwest Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. Angela Fisher, Member at Large, Junior Achievement.
Victor Gonzalez, Minnesota Twins.
Joseph Janasha, Gulf Coast Business Bank, Member at Large.
Morning, Sean Smith, Boston Red Sox. And even though we're battling Victor for a wild card playoff spot, we still love the Twins.
Good morning, Denise Vidal with LCEC, Member at Large.
Dana Burnett, Lee County staff.
Tatum Walker, Lee County Economic Development.
Garrett Heiser, Lee County Economic Development.
Amanda Kent, Lee County Economic Development.
Bill Johnson Jr., Horizon Foundation. Wayne Balcom, Economic Development.
All right, let's continue. Well, thank you and welcome all. If we can start with a motion to approve our minutes from our July meeting. So moved. Second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's move on to our agenda here. Let's see. And you should each have a copy of the agenda. And really, we're going to cover just a couple points here. Let's go over to this one. Yeah. So just to recap, and it's pretty exciting. Our vision is to make Lee County a beacon of thriving business, empowered communities, robust workforce, and innovative education where the quality of life intertwines with economic vitality. And as we know, there's just so much incredible progress taking place. And I always get so energized when John shares just some of the things that he's working on for the future with the economic development team. And this statement is ringing truer and truer, each time we meet. So in terms of the chair's report, thank you to Helen Edenfield for chairing our last session. It's one of our process steps that as this year, believe it or not, is starting to wind down, 2024, right? And Helen's year is going to wind up in 2025. She'll begin looking at our strategic plan and how we move forward from this point forward. Committees are back meeting, deciding what they're going to focus on for the rest of this year. And yesterday, my thanks to the EDO team for organizing the selection process for the Industry Appreciation Awards. Bill's going to touch on this a little later. Bill Johnson. We had 80 nominations, so a record nomination, but the process is pretty intense. So thank you to Warren and the EDO team who really made it seem like it was easy for those of us that were on the various selection committees to assist. And then with the help of the EDO team, yesterday we held a Haitian Leadership Forum. The Haitian leadership business community is growing. In general, the Haitian community is growing. So we wanted to make sure that they have a better context on the various programs and initiatives that we have underway, and that we also have a understanding of some of the unique challenges that they may face. We had about 40 people attend. Lee County School District was well represented. FGCU, FSW, LCEC, among others, were well represented. And incredible conversation on how to help that community move forward as well. And let's see. Well, with that, I think we're ready for Bill Johnson.
Good God, Guido.
That's awfully scary first thing in the morning. Thank you, Dr. Manaya.
Here, us short guys, let me put it down a little bit. Good morning, everyone. I am Bill Johnson Jr. I'm Executive Director for the Horizon Foundation. Just a quick update of where we stand as of this meeting. We currently are on point to reach our fundraising goal of $575,000. We've been very fortunate this year that we've had a lot of our investors not only up their investment, but we've had a lot of new investors that have come into the foundation as well. If you are interested and you're sitting in this room of becoming a member of the foundation, I would love to talk to you this morning after the meeting. We are the fundraising arm of both the Horizon Council, and we work with the Lee EDO as far as to make them even better than they already are. One of the big things Dr. Minaya touched on, we do have our Industry Appreciation Awards coming up in October. It's going to be a fantastic event. We have a lot of great categories, a lot of great people applied for these awards. We are currently in the logistical stage of the event. Finalist videos are being shot. We're getting ready to meet and put everything together. Our seating chart, which is like a wedding chart on steroids, we got to come into that soon. Commissioner Hayden has helped us in the past with that. But we are looking forward to that event. And one of the things that I really wanted to touch on that we've been working with, the Horizon Foundation has a partnership with the Edison Awards. One of the things through our executive team with both the council, with Dr. Minaya and Helen, and our own president, Mark Stevens, who couldn't be here today. He's up actually taking one of his children to college. But one of the initiatives that we decided to go with, we partnered with the EDO and working with them on the Innovative Walk of Fame, which is going to be an amazing project. But we are starting a separate project where we're going to actually bring innovation into the school and college age level. Dr. Minaya has many contacts that he's put us in place with, that we're going to develop a curriculum to where we're going to have local students be able to submit a project in the field of AI. That project will go through and be judged. And then what we're going to do, the caveat, which is going to be the cool thing, is that when we get into our Edison Awards next year, we're going to be able to give that lovely winner or team of winners the opportunity to receive their awards on stage at the Edison Awards in front of all the other innovators around the world that will be there receiving awards this night as well. We thought, and our executive team thought, that this would be an excellent way of bringing the local community and tying it in with already a great awards with the Edison Awards. And we look forward to not only starting this process, but help it grow. We funded the initial project ask, and then the next step as we move further in is to figure out where we're going to be as far as what we're going to give these amazing students as far as scholarships to help them pursue their career as they move forward in post-education after high school, or if they're in college, to help them pursue getting their degree and further their career. So a lot of big things going on in the foundation, and we're very happy to be here and help out in any way we can. You all have a great day, and back to you there, Dr. Minaya.
Great. Yeah, that's going to be an exciting initiative. We're working on putting together a planning team with Shelby, our chair of our STEM to Career Task Force. So that is underway. And now we have our remarks from our county commissioner.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. I don't have a doctor in front of my name, but I was reading my notes, and some of them actually mirrored the doctor's, so my bachelor's degree is holding up pretty well. So, it has been a busy time. The kids are back in school. Things are ramping up as we approach fourth quarter, which is hard to believe. The election process is in full swing, and so things are busy. With that, the economists are coming in and giving us their downloads for this year and the forecast. I want to thank Gary Tasman again for the Cushman & Wakefield presentation he made, in last month. That's a great presentation. I want to thank Lee BIA. We just had another presentation this past week, again, to review what's going on and to take a look forward. We actually have the slide deck for that, so for those who weren't able to attend, give us a shout, and we'll make sure you get that one as well. It was an interesting point. I was talking to a couple people about the multi-housing sector. It's probably the most visible in our market. And this friend is from out of state, but he's doing some work in the state. And he said that we've built 4 years of, this is nationally, we built 4 years of inventory in 2 years. there's a need certainly in certain markets, but it's also some of the challenges. Starting to see some free rent, starting to see some cap compression. So we're trying to see where the opportunities are for us and for us nationally. On the county, we're moving into the second phase of the Lee Health possible conversion. Ben, I want to thank you and the team. It's been terrific. We've covered a lot of ground. We're in that 45-day window now where we've got to move some information, get some clarity. Everybody's working together. I think everybody's getting closer and closer to a consensus on where we need to be. So we'll try to close that gap. It's very important for Lee Health. It's very important for us as a community. FEMA remains a challenge, as we all know. However, the county continues to work cooperatively with them, whether it's out of D.C., whether it's out of Atlanta or here locally. There was some confusion because we were prepared to send out a letter for some clarity. They sent out something that kind of preempted us, and so there was some confusion in the market, but we're working hard to try to clear that up. We'll get there, but it's been a challenge. We feel that we're going to be able to maintain, and if you have any hard questions, you can ask Mark. He's my buddy here, and he's much bigger than me. But we're working hard to clear those questions up and try to make sure that everybody's got the right information. We're still working on some issues, between Captiva Sanibel and the Lee County Billback. Again, it's a work in progress, so we hope that'll work out. We're in the final rounds of the budget to be approved. We're still recovering from some lost revenue. But values of properties are coming back, and we're holding pretty strong there, so that's encouraging. Very pleased to have approved a 2020, 3 or 4 2020 acquisitions recently. We just won, I think yesterday at the zoning meeting, there was a 40-acre site, $7.9 million. It's on the Moody River in North Fort Myers along the Caloosahatchee. Those are very important. Everybody talks about, the development here, but we're working really hard to look at the conservation land, especially that, in the way it's positioned, whether it's adjacent to another site, because you not only have to buy, you've got to maintain these things and certain things along the water. So we're really happy with that. We were able to reprogram about $2.8 million from the ARPA funds. Some things were underspent, so we're trying to look at opportunities where we can place some of that money and best use that. One of the things I like most is that we do a service awards every quarter, and we did one, I think, yesterday, Mark. And you see people that have been with the county for 5 years to 35 years. And I say that only because it gives us a very stable platform to work from, but it also shows the commitment that we have and the stability that we have and the depth that we have at the county. So it's always fun to do that. I want to also mention congratulations to our community development team. They have worked very hard to clear all the permit processes through. I think we're back to normal now, whatever normal is. But congratulations, Mark, to the team. And finally, in our community, wherever you live, you come across certain people that are good people within their community, good people within the county. There's a gentleman, Al Durrett, from Fort Myers Beach, who is incredible person, incredible business person. I was down the beach yesterday, and Al passed unfortunately away. His service is tomorrow in Naples. If anybody knows him or wants some information, I'll certainly be there, and I'm sure Jackie will. So, Al, thank you for everything you've done for Lee County and for the beach. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. And now we have John Talmadge, Economic Development Office.
Good morning. Just a couple things, and then what I'd really like to do is ask Dana Burnett to come up, our deputy director, who is actually retiring next Friday. Next Wednesday, and he's one of the most seasoned professionals I've ever worked with, and it'll be a loss to the county, but a loss to me personally. Dana?
Thank you for the kind words, John. What a long, strange trip it's been, huh? I've been telling people in some way, shape, or form, I've been working for 48 years. It's time to enjoy the fruits. And I've had a lot of family members with health issues, and it gets you thinking, we have this much time left. As you get older, you worry about that. So I decided I'm going to make sure that I try and enjoy myself before my time comes. So I was thinking about it, and I finally said it out loud. I told my wife, we were sitting there watching TV one night, and I said, I'm thinking about retirement. And she looks at me, she goes, your problem is you think too much. She said, if you want to retire, retire. And I said, okay. And then I started seeing the list of things she wants to get done when I retire. Now I know why. I was telling somebody in the back, it's in the handbook, I'm telling you right now. But the last 5 years have been a joy. John's tremendous to work with. We've got a bunch of young pups in the office now that are coming along really well, and it's time to hand off the baton. But I got to say, the last 5 years have been incredible. We put together numbers. We've added over 13 million square feet of commercial. We have added about $1.8 billion to our tax base. I mean, we have done amazing stuff, and it's not just us. The market worked for us. You all, we have a lot of developers and realtors and people in the audience that we work with on a daily basis. And when you work together, you can accomplish a lot. We got to keep doing that. We have some leaner times coming up, but I think we are very well positioned to do great things. Heck, we're working on 2 projects alone that could account for 5,000 new jobs in our county. So we have things to look forward to. Keep doing what you're doing. It's working. Thank you so much.
That's it? Okay, thanks, John. And now we have our nonprofit minute. All right, we've got Dahlia Singer with us. And Dahlia is the program manager for Commute Connector, a program of the Florida Department of Transportation. In her role, she collaborates closely with the Economic Development Councils, Manufacturers Association, Metropolitan Planning Organizations, and Chambers of Commerce to engage business prospects and foster partnerships. Her primary focus is driving a significant shift towards greener commuting options for staff at a larger scale. So Commute Connector integrates complementary services into benefits programming, and through a robust partnership with enterprise, brings tangible solutions such as subsidized vans for websites. Welcome.
Good morning again. I'm with the Florida Department of Transportation, and this program, Commute Connector, is bringing transportation solutions to our partners. And I can't do it without our relationships with the economic development offices we work with, such as the wonderful Lee EDO team. And they're connecting us with employers that have transportation issues so we can solve them. And one of the primary ways we do this is through our software. We have a website and an app where individuals can route plan, they can explore their transportation options, and they can even connect with other carpoolers in the area. Oh, never mind. I'm going to go back. I thought there was a slide, but I'll just keep talking and woo you with my wonderful face. So we have a software that connects individuals to their transportation options. It connects them to other carpoolers in the area, and individuals will also have this gamification element to green commuting in our software as well, where they can earn rewards for the trips that they take. And that either looks like gift cards from the Florida Department of Transportation, and you can see that there, that software up there. That looks like gift cards through the Florida Department of Transportation, or maybe you want a discount to Joanne Crafts and Fabrics, or maybe you want a discount on an oil change through Valvoline, or maybe you want some free frozen yogurt after work. Right, so that's what the Commute Connector software looks like. And then we also have that tangible solution piece as well through a robust partnership with Enterprise, yes, the car rental company. We have a van pooling program where we offer vehicles to employers as a way for their staff to get to and from work. And we leave the vehicle with them at the end of the day. And these individuals are a part of this program. It's all inclusive. Insurance is included. Maintenance is included. It's month to month if you just want to try it as well. And the best part is FDOT subsidizes $500 of each van that is on the road. So we're doing this for our partners as a tangible solution for their staff to get to and from work, reducing absenteeism and all things of that nature. So that is our van pooling program. We're bringing those tangible solutions. We're incentivizing green commutes for those people who need a little bit of a push. And we also have people joining the program who just naturally, care about the environment, want to do green for the community. But you know who we're not serving yet? People who are anxious. People that don't want a green commute because they're nervous about, what about the unexpected? What if I have to go pick up my dog from the vet? But we've got an emergency ride home program for that too, don't worry. For individuals that have an emergency pop up, we've got them covered. We will pay for the cost of a Lyft, an Uber, a rental car, or even the mileage of a friend who is stuck at work. Maybe they want to pick up an overtime shift, but they rode the bus there, right? We've got them covered in the event of emergency. They want to make some more money. We take care of them. So we're providing the incentives piece, that tangible solution, and of course, we got that emergency ride home program. So on this next slide is our contact, my own and my counterpart with Enterprise, Mark Kalo. I'll also be sticking around if you want to connect. Of course, this is a solution that you can have in Lee County. And if you want to see what these vans look like, Shell Point Retirement Community has about 10 of them. So if you just want to take a swing by there in Lee County, you'll see what this enterprise relationship for van pooling looks like in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Dahlia. All right, well, let's move forward with our presentation and our key speaker, Doug Hattaway, Trust for Public Land on Bonita Estero Rail Trail. It's called BERT. Doug leads TPL's land conservation work throughout the southeastern United States. Doug is dedicated to improving access to parks and open space and improving quality of life, public health, environmental integrity, and recreational opportunities, benefiting particularly low-income and minority communities who lack equitable access. His recent work involves new park construction, rail trail conservations to further Florida's trail network, landscape level land, and habitat conservation, and adding more public access locations to Florida's coastal and riverine resources. So with that, I'll set up your presentation, and we'll go from there. Let's see. And it is not that one. That one. This one. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Is it on? There we go. And let me put on big screen. There you go.
Okay. Click OK.
So there you go.
That'll work too. Thank you, Dr. Minaya. Can I hold this? Yes. Good morning. Doug Hattaway, as the doctor said, Trust for Public Land, the Southeast Region Conservation Director, working in Florida for most of my career at Trust for Public Land, now located in Western North Carolina, and I love Allegiant Air. It gets me back here quite frequently. I want to point out a couple people in the audience that are with me today. Natalie White, who is a landscape architect and the associate principal with Schenkel Schultz, and co-founder of Rebuild Southwest Florida, which was founded to and resulted in cleaning 800 homes in the hardest hit areas following Hurricane Ian. So clearly a local leader and is a partner with us on this project. Natalie, if you can just raise your hand. There you are in the middle. And then also Charles Hines, who's my colleague at Trust for Public Land. He is the Gulf Coast Trail Director for Trust for Public Land. I'll talk a little bit about what that is during my remarks. He himself is a practicing attorney and a former Sarasota County Commissioner, so happy to have him with our team. I am hopeful today to answer a few questions. What is and why is BERT, the Bonita Estero Rail Trail, a once-in-a-generation transformative project for the communities in Lee and Collier counties? How is this not just a trail? This is a community improvement project with a multitude of benefits beyond just a recreational trail. So hopefully I will convince you that this is not just for recreational purposes. Who is Trust for Public Land, and what is our role in this particular project? And lastly, how can you help? So hopefully I will accomplish that. This is the first time I'm presenting this project to a private group here in the Fort Myers area. I've been working with the local elected leaders in your community to date, so let's see how I do in making sure I answer those questions. So let me start off by explaining who is Trust for Public Land. I'll keep it brief, I promise, because I want to get into the meat of this, just as I expect you to too. We are a national nonprofit land trust. We were created in 1972. Our tagline is simply land for people. We believe in maintaining a connection between land and people because of its benefits for our health, our economies, and the well-being of our communities. We believe that that our work is important in communities who prioritize parks and open space and trails and greenways because it makes our communities healthier, more equitable, more resilient, and more economically vibrant. We actually opened our office in Tallahassee as the second one. The first one was in San Francisco in 1974. So we've actually been in Florida now for 50 years doing this kind of work. We believe that everyone has a right to connect to the outdoors, making communities and people healthier, more vibrant, resilient, and more equitable. It's a fundamental human need. We were created in the natural environment. There is something that needs to be maintained and maintain our mental and our physical health. And having that ease of access, connection to the outdoors is critical for us as people and as communities. And we don't think enough about this in our communities and cities across the country. But I'm going to try to do a little economic development spin on all of these messages, so here I go. Local public park and recreation agencies throughout the United States generate more than $201 billion in economic activity and support almost 1.1 million jobs that boost labor income by more than $63 billion from their operations and capital spending in 2021 alone. Parks are powerful engines for economic development. Local park and recreation agencies in the United States generate more than $201 billion. Parks contribute to population growth and employment by boosting quality of life and making cities more attractive places to live and work. Parks are chronically underfunded and can be vital parts of supporting the health, safety, interconnectedness, and economic vitality. Residents support funding of parks. 62% of people in the United States, according to surveys, report that they are likely to vote for a political candidate, hello Commissioner Sandelli, who makes funding parks a recreation a priority. Trails can be a part of comprehensive approach to greening cities and rejuvenating neighborhoods. Trails can make use of abandoned railroads, which we're going to talk about today, which follow utility corridors or run parallel to urban creeks and canals. Repurposing this infrastructure for trails can lead to new green space, create new community gathering spaces, and bring economic opportunity. Working hand in hand with neighborhoods and communities, we support the efforts of historically economic marginalized groups to generate investments in and access to parks and public land that benefit everyone and that address wide-ranging challenges in our communities. Parks, green space, and public lands offer key opportunities to become more resilient to extreme heat, wildfires, and flooding, and for our nation to draw down atmospheric greenhouse gases. Green spaces absorb floodwater. Vegetation reduces high temperatures. Plant and soil capture carbon. These and other nature-based solutions also deliver important benefits for our health, equity, community cohesion, jobs, and economic development. Our work throughout the country has resulted in the completion of 5,000 projects, which includes the acquisition of land for the creation and construction of parks and trails, renovating schoolyards and iconic outdoor places across the country. We have staff that are responsible for running and managing local and statewide ballot measures. So our work has created over $93 billion across the country dedicated to supporting this kind of work. And our land transaction or land protection staff and organization has successfully acquired and protected or conserved for parkland and conservation purposes over 4.1 million acres across the country. This work has translated into having another 9 million people across the country have access to a local green space or park within a 10-minute walk from where they live. All right, that was it. That was my public service announcement. So let's get into the meat of it. That wasn't too bad. We have been, and I want to talk about the BERT corridor, and this is a Bonita Estero Rail Trail project. It is in Lee and northern Collier counties. It's a railroad corridor that is underutilized. We are a well-known organization across the country for doing rail trail type projects like this. We've been acquiring them, seeing to their improvement and opening with those ribbon cutting events for over 2 decades. We were recently recognized nationally for our rail trail work specifically as the second most impactful organization in the country in support of the rail trail movement. I will answer who was the first. It was the Rail Trails Conservancy, which is an advocacy organization that does a lot of great work at the federal level, in the government level, but also advocacy across the nation, furthering the understanding of, the importance of, and the impacts of rail trail type work. But they're an advocacy group. We are a can-do organization, so we're involved with the actual acquisition of these corridors, working with the communities where we're working to raise the funds necessary so that these assets, diamonds in the rough, if you will become accessible and available for the public use, benefiting the public and the people around it. We have done about 45 rail trail type projects throughout the country. Most of them have been here in the state of Florida. I will tell you that these projects, as opposed to buying a piece of land that's within the middle of a neighborhood and there's let's just say a classic square shape that's doing great serving that neighborhood and maybe some visitors to them, rail trail projects are transformative in the community because they're connecting communities. They're linear parks. Consequentially, they also are the most complicated projects that we work on at the Trust for Public Land. The legal, social, financial, all of the logistics and all the community groups that are involved with these kind of linear parks that touch on them directly just raise the complexity of these projects to another level. You may have heard about this project locally already, which is fantastic because it is something that's not new. It's something that the community has been already eyeing for quite some time. For example, the Lee County MPO has already conducted a feasibility study for this project that was done in 2023. And so we are actually now, the Trust of Public Land, engaging in this project to help get it to the finish line so that we can actually start enjoying it. Both the MPOs list this project as a priority on their state and federal funding priority lists, as well as a specific state funding program that the MPO benefits from funding from called the Sun Trail program. I should probably talk about what's on this slide too. So what is it? It is an unused maintained liability. It is a corridor that is owned by Seminole Gulf Railroad that is not active. It hasn't had service on it in quite a number of years, as you can see with the vegetation growing in one of the pictures on the slide. It's 130 feet wide, which is exceptional. Typically, they're 100. There is 1 or 2 pinch points on this one that reduce the width down to about 100 feet, but no less than 100 feet wide. So it's a wide swath of land within the developed areas of Lee and Collier counties. Imagine trying to build a new road in the built environment. This is already there. This is an unused asset. It's currently a liability, in fact, because it's being unused. It's unsightly. People adjacent to the corridor are concerned about the people homeless people that might be, and drug users that might be living there. It's unsightly because of the lack of maintenance and the trees and the snakes that might enter their yards. So it is an asset that is just itching to be converted into something that is a benefit to the community. 70,000 people live within a 10-minute bike ride. And I'm not going to read all of the statistics on the demographics, but the Trust of Public Land has software that allows us to identify what the services areas are around these types of linear and more conventional parks, if you will, which is sophisticated enough to identify that you might say you live across the street from a park, but if that street is a 4-lane highway, That's a barrier, not a connection to the park. So our modeling factors in when we come up with 70,000 people, 10-minute bike ride, what does it say, 14,000 within a 10-minute walk. It's factoring in, is it really easy for people? Is it accessible for people to get to? We do have a couple maps in the back that I would refer you to, as well as information about this project that you can take home, including a frequently asked questions. So I wanted to just take the moment to point that out to you as well. But because of our mapping ability, we can identify where are the facilities that are within the service area as well. We have lots of schools that children who are trying to walk to and from school can use to get to and from school safely. We have medical facilities, places of worship. We have employment centers, gyms, all of these things that are within the service area. So this is just for the people that can access this corridor easily from their homes or places of work. It's not to mention that this corridor is going to be attracting people from a much larger service area or much larger geography. Why is this important? What are the benefits of this project? Safety is key. Florida is one of the most deadliest states for its pedestrians and cyclists. You know this, because in Lee County, the number of fatalities is 8.7 times higher than the average county in the United States. There were 527 fatalities between 2000 and 221 in Lee County. Bonita Springs is in the top 25 small cities with the highest fatality rates. Estero has a high facility rate despite its low population. Dedicated, separated trails and railroad corridors are perfect because they have few road crossings, right? Because they don't like roads crossing the railroads. It's like this one, it's the gold standard for pedestrian and cyclist safety. It is not enough to just reduce the number of fatalities in your communities just by a bit. The goal needs to be zero. And we have a long way to go, and this kind of a project can get us there. People do use trails for exercise, and if you build it, they will come. We've all heard this from the movies. That is the case here as well. People are itching for a safe way to exercise, to meet with one another, to gather that sense of community. And as you can see on the slide, there is actually health benefits by reduced health costs because people are moving and have an opportunity to move. Economic development investment. This kind of facility connects people with jobs, shopping, and entertainment. It attracts highly skilled workers to come to your community, and they bring their jobs with them. They look for communities when they have the flexibility of choosing where to live and work that have these kinds of amenities, and trails is on top of that list. It stimulates business and residential development. I don't know, so the Legacy Trail in Sarasota County is the most proximal one I can think of that we worked with the community in accomplishing. There were new developments and businesses already advertising online in the place next to the trail that, hey, the trail is coming here, move here, because they know there's a market for this. People are looking for places like this. It impacts the value of properties too. People like a metro station in a larger city where people that are moving there want to buy a place or rent a place near a metro station, they're going to pay more for it. It actually is increasing home values. It's a tourist destination and an attraction. I'm going to get into its connectivity in a minute, but it's one thing to have a trail that starts here and ends there, like right now, the John Yarborough Trail. It's a 6-mile trail, has a stopping and ending point. Yes, we can have a conversation about improving shade and facilities, whole nother conversation. But when you start building this trail into a larger network, more and more people are going to be coming because that's another reason to come and spend money and come to the beaches, go see the trail, go see the Red Sox, etc. And I'm not going to go through these others. I trust you scanned these other benefits of these kinds of properties. So we'll just keep moving. Where does it fit? It's not alone. It's not isolated. This is the map of the statewide network of trails and greenways, the priority trail system. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Office of Greenways and Trails, has been working on creating a connected network throughout our state for decades now. And more recently, the FDOT had a program created called the Sun Trail program that helps to fund this thing, to get it implemented. I mentioned earlier about the Lee and Collier County MPOs putting this project on the priority list for the Sun Trail program. This is what I'm referring to. And may I compliment your representatives in the area here, Senate President Kathleen Pasadomo and Representative Adam Botana, who 2 sessions ago passed with the governor signing off that this program will not only get an influx of another $200 million because of the incredible demand and need for funding, but also the annual appropriation up from $20 to $50 million. So as you can see on the slide, this corridor, I can't point to it here for you, but this corridor is part of the priority trail system for the state of Florida. And taking it down to the regional level, Trust for Public Land, I mentioned Charles Hines is leading our program called the Florida Gulf Coast Trail Program. This is the regional line that this corridor will fit into. We are working hard up and down this 420-mile corridor, working with all of the communities, elected, public, private, civic, etc., to identify and coalesce around this regional trail being a regional asset, which has all of the benefits I mentioned. We're working already in Manatee County. You can see the orange, by the way, are the gaps, and the dark color are the ones that are in place already. And you can see it's about 60-40. 40% done, 60% needs to be completed. Manatee County has a big gap there. We're working with Florida Power and Light on a 13-mile acquisition to allow for a connection there. We're working on a connection with Warm Mineral Springs in Northport to connect to the Legacy Trail, which of course is part of this network. And of course, here I am today working, and for the next year and a half, working with you all to hopefully get this BERT project completed. But it also fits into your local networks. So here we have Connect Lee at the north end of this corridor, the BERT corridor, which is Alico Road on the north end. That's the southern end of the Nathan Benderson, Charles, I was going to say, the John Yarborough Trail, bringing it into the city of Fort Myers, which is already taking the initiative with the MPO and improving the bridge across the Caloosahatchee to then get into the Charlotte County across the river. And then south, you have the Paradise Coast Trail in Collier County, which this trail links into as well. So this isn't a stopping and ending point. This is a very strategic corridor that's plugging into a much larger system. And then the 2 right maps, of course, are the Lee and Collier County bike ped plans that this corridor is also a key part of as well. The reasons for BERT. These are some statistics that are applicable to the Florida Gulf Coast Trail that I just mentioned. It's improving your health. It's a safe place for people to commute. It's connecting communities together, and it's a destination trail. It's going to bring in money to benefit your communities and improve your communities because people want to live there. There are multiple cities in the state of Florida that have been designated trail towns. I think Venice, Florida was the most recent one, and it's the closest one, I believe, to this trail system here. It's recognizing that these trails going through the downtown areas, and this goes through downtown Bonita Springs, downtown Village of Estero, and all of the developed neighborhoods and commercial areas and job sites that you're all familiar with even more than I am. They transform the community. People that would have fences against the railroad corridor, once it becomes a trail, they create a gate. They get their own access point to it. The same thing with commercial and job sites, retail stores, et cetera. They start turning what was their back to a railroad corridor and start making it their front door, or at least a secondary door, because of the activity that's going to occur and the use on these corridors, and they transform economies. Dunedin went from 30% vacancy rate to 100% filled. I'm sorry, let me restate that. Yeah, okay, maybe I have it backwards. I can't remember if it was 30% vacancy or 30% filled, but it now is 100% after the trail, Pinellas Trail, was established and built through that community. We're expecting the same thing to happen with the BERT Trail. This story repeats itself over and over and over about the use on the trail, the investment in business and retail and community that follow. All right, let's get into some specifics. Acquisition and funding strategy. How the heck are we going to get to the finish line on this project? We had been working with the owner of this railroad corridor, who is Seminole Gulf Railroad, for 4 years, talking. Sometimes we hit a wall, we have to take a break to reach an agreement. Trust for Public Land actually has the corridor under contract. It's just under 15 miles long. It's $82 million. It's a big number, but it's not unexpected for a piece of property that's going through the heart of development, commercial, industrial, and residential areas. It's what it's worth. As a nonprofit that our organization is, we can't pay more than what a piece of land is worth anyway. So it's actually worth $82 million today, and we have a term of a contract. We have 2 years to put this together. With March of 2026, yes, 6 months have already gone by since we actually got it signed up. So we're working very hard in your communities to bring the awareness level up about this project, working with federal and state grant opportunities to submit, working with state funding and then local funding and private funding to make this project a reality. Thanks to the leadership of the City of Bonita Springs. Thank you. I think Councilmember Laura Carr and Chris Corey from Bonita Springs are here now. Thank you so much for setting aside that initial funding of $5 million. The same thing with the Village of Estero putting aside $5 million, and then the Collier County Commission also putting in some seed money as well. Because when the community is demonstrating, and yes, that means with putting up some money, that makes it much easier and empowering to go to the state legislature, which we're planning to do, and the federal government and its grant programs to say, community's vested. We need some help here to get those funds. So we're going for the federal, state funds first, and then we'll see how far we can get in a nutshell in the next year and a half. That's essentially the summary of that funding strategy in short. I want to highlight, because I've heard this from a few people, what about the railroad? I like railroads, you know. Well, because of this project, rather than the railroad being abandoned and sold off in pieces, which can very well happen with this corridor, it's not being used, if you noticed, we are able to keep it intact with this alternative use, and that preserves the opportunity that a rail service could be provided again in the future. And I mentioned it's 130 feet wide. It will allow for both in the future. It's wide enough for a rail with trail, and I just wanted to make that comment in case that was of interest to anyone. We've got a list here of partners and supporters. We're growing, as I mentioned to you. Most of our focus trying to spread the word has been with the public and public bodies and public officials. We're now reaching out to private organizations. I want to highlight 22 HOAs, thanks to the work of Deb Orton and Friends of BERT, have got formal endorsements from 22 neighborhood associations and growing. And how can you help? At this stage, I know you're an assembly of a bunch of organizations. I would ask of you, if you're interested in presenting this to your organization, having myself or Friends of BERT or Charles Hines to come to your group and talk about this project to help us get the word out there, having that outreach translate into allowing your public officials, your representatives know that this is something that you support and want, goes a long way. Your politicians, Commissioner Sandelli would love to hear that the community is in strong support of this, because that's the only way your elected officials are going to know that this is a priority. And so that's a key thing that you can help us with. Spread the word and then advocate for the trail so that you know that it becomes a priority and we can get there. Provide letters of support. As we submit for state grants and federal grants, we've already submitted one. Thank you, Lee County. Thank you, Commissioner Sandelli. Lee County was an applicant with partners to one that was already submitted to the federal government last month or a month so. The next one, another federal one, is coming up. Letters of support from the business community, just simply letters of support saying we love this project. We support it. Goes a long way in those people that make the decision about where the money is going to go and which projects to fund, and when it's very competitive, helps. So if you're interested in helping at these critical moments when applications are being submitted so we can have that stack of letters of support, please get in touch with us and let us know so that we can reach out to you at those appropriate times. Bluntly, both Trust for Public Land and Friends of BERT, which is your local entity and leader from a civic perspective running this, we are nonprofits. And we are willing to accept at any moment's notice tax-deductible donations. It costs money. We're a partner in this. We're spending our own money to do what we're doing here. We're not being paid with any kind of consulting fee or fee for services. So donors that support our work are the reason why we're able to do this. And both of our organizations would welcome donations to help sustain our work over the next year and a half and beyond. I'm going to play a short 3-minute video, which is kind of high energy and inspirational. And then I would like to open it up for questions.
Guys, this is a good one. Miles of century-old railroad running from Alico Road down past Bonita Beach Road, like so much of the country is doing, is turning abandoned railroads into linear parks, and the possibilities are out of control. The transformation in quality of life, tourism, real estate values, safety, personal health, commerce, and economic gain are only limited by our imaginations. And BERT, the driving force behind this project, is asking you to start dreaming, because eventually everybody is going to be involved.
The rail line is 14.9 miles long, 130 feet wide, and is now under contract to be sold in order to create a greenway and trail.
Just to be able to get on my bike, I don't have to worry about going on a sidewalk. I see myself grabbing lunch, grabbing a coffee, bring the kid over to the park, and just be safe.
Think of it as a 15-mile-long park that doubles as a 15-mile-long highway made for only foot and bike traffic. The state will rip up the rails, clean up the whole 130-foot wide area, put down an asphalt trail, and then the private sector and the communities along the path will get involved to beautify it for years to come. So what we have is kind of like a 15-mile blank slate. Do you like to look at it that way?
I like to look at it that way. That is a fantastic way to look at it.
A business takes ownership of it, or a sole individual.
You'll be able to travel the trail to downtowns, the mall, parks, schools, neighborhoods, different communities.
Here's Coconut Point Mall. On the other side of these trees is the rail line. There's already plans to build an access point so that people can use the trail to get there. 70,000 residents will be able to have a 10-minute walk to this new trail. Within a mile of the trail, you can expect your homes to be worth at least 7, maybe more like 20% more.
Could you imagine? Yeah. And put their name on it? This butterfly garden by so-and-so coffee shop.
A little garden.
Supporters are saying things like, we'd like to build a park. We'd like to build an access point.
Bringing this here is going to provide so much more safety.
There are 11 schools, 10,000 students that will be within a mile, able to safely get to school. We won't have visitors that only come for the beaches. They'll come for this as well.
Repeatedly across the nation, results of similar rail trail reconstruction initiatives have been astounding. Residents are already contemplating ways to enhance their segment to enhance the appeal of their localities. They're putting forth ideas for gardens, amenities, architectural elements, bridges, landscapes, small parks, access points, and a whole bunch of other imaginative projects. Could you imagine how many people could be on this in a day?
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be crazy.
I hope someone's there with a little clicker counter.
I'm told we have about enough time for about 2 to 3 questions. And I'm sure I've missed some important points. Here it is. Some important points that I'd be happy to hear questions about.
I just have a quick question about if you could expand on the ability to preserve future rail access.
Yes, there is a federal program called rail banking. It was created in the 80s amidst the push of many railroads abandoning corridors across the country. And Congress said, oh my gosh, imagine how much the federal and state governments and the public have invested to create this incredible network that is part of our identity as a nation and how it developed. We can't just let these national assets go away. They created this program that technically keeps this railroad under federal jurisdiction while it's being used as a trail. So that's why it's able to, in the future, if a railroad company comes in and says it's now economically viable again, who knows what's going to be in 50 or 100 years from now, right? So let's keep our options open, that a railroad company can come in and reestablish rail service on the line.
And is that at any time, or is there a window that's closed for a period?
It is open-ended. open-ended until it is formally abandoned, which this would not do.
Mine's more of a comment than a question. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the McAlpine Greenway system is a really valuable asset for us as kids, and then now for our family's kids. So it's great to see that you're looking to pursue this down here as well.
Was that one of the clips in the video?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Mine goes along with the first question. In the video, he says he's going to remove the rails, and I thought in yours you said you're going to preserve the rails, so I wasn't sure which was right.
So railroad is a bed. There's going to be areas where the bed is surrounded by wetlands, right? So you're going to be removing the rails, the ties, creating that base, pavement, trail. So yes, the rails would be removed because in some parts of this corridor, there's the railroad berm. That's the only place you can put a trail, is right where the rails are currently. So yes, the rails would be removed as part of this, yes. The rails can't be used anyway. You have to rehab that whole line for better service if that's what your concern is. Sorry. Yeah, they would improve that. That rail line is in dire need of repair. It can't be used as it is anyway.
My question is regarding the safety. You mentioned that no, this is a much better option, but how are you going to guarantee the safety of the people on the trail? And who's going to monitor it? Who's going to be responsible for that?
Yes, great question. Thank you. And so I'm going to cite other examples that I'm familiar with. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be my organization out there. It's going to be the community. And so having, if this is owned by Lee County Commission, City of Bonita Springs, Estero, Collier County, we haven't answered that question as far as are we owning sections of it ourselves, or is it just going to be one owner, and then who's managing it? But whoever it is, because we haven't had those deep discussions yet, likely there'll be an agreement with the sheriff's department and police departments to make sure that there is some monitoring of the trail to assure, if you're thinking about crime or bad behavior, is that what you're thinking of? Yeah, so having community liaisons from those departments is a common way of doing it, and they'll be on the bikes too.
Actually, I have two questions. The railway that goes north, some of the prettiest parts of the entire railway actually crosses the Clusatch River, and I realize you have to take one step at a time here, but what's the inclination of Seminole Railway to do something with the railway north of that? Have you had any discussions with them at all?
So at the north end of this line is the John Yarborough Trail.
I'm sorry?
It's the John Yarborough Trail.
No, I'm talking about into Norfolk Myers.
Across the Chattahoochee.
Yeah.
So that line then goes northeasterly, doesn't it? Yeah, right. Yeah,
but it crosses. There's a railway bridge.
Yes, correct.
And,
so then ask the question now. That context.
I know you're you can't do this all at one time. Are you guys having discussions with them? Is there an inclination by them to also, at some point in the future?
Thank you very much. So, two quick answers, blunt. We're trying to further the Gulf Coast Trail, and so that would continue north, not involving the line you're thinking about. So no, it is not part of our discussions. Part two is, however, this is not the first one we've worked with Seminole Gulf on, so we've got a good relationship with the company, and if there's ever a need and an opportunity to connect inland where that line is going and they don't need it, that'll be part of our discussions, but right now it is not.
And then my second question goes to the chairman. The Horizon Council obviously is an advisory body to the Lee County Commission. Is this something that you guys have discussed, or where a motion would need to be made to support this?
Yeah. John, do you want to take that in terms of what we haven't it was presented at our last executive committee briefly as to what this session would be about, but we haven't had any further discussion as to what the implications are or future needs yet.
Yeah, this is our first conversation publicly about this. The county commission has had the conversation and has supported it, in concept. Senior staff, of course, supports it in concept as well. But until we get to the funding mechanism, we haven't really had a conversation about what we should do as a Horizon Council.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. And Doug's available for questions after, but thank you so much for joining us. All right, now we're going to wrap up with member input. So if there's an announcement one of our members would like to make about either an upcoming event or anything that you'd like to briefly share, please feel free.
So she's not here today, but I would like to thank Karen Moore, publisher, owner of Southwest Florida Business Today. September issue is coming out, or the edition is coming out, and it has a focus on manufacturing. So I would highly recommend that you grab a copy and read it. It's awesome content, and it's fantastic for economic development and just getting the word out there that manufacturing is growing in our county.
Other member inputs? Great.
Thank you. Megan Baskin. I run the Southwest Florida Leadership Institute at FGCU, and I just want to let everybody know that's maybe in the public sector, we are launching or have launched registration for the Emerging Leaders in the Public Sector 2-day intensive micro-credential at FGCU. So if you have individuals in your organization that are moving into leadership, need that extra boost into what does it take to be a leader in a public sector organization, we're enrolling today. I want to thank the Lee County Clerk of Courts, State's Attorney's Office, City of Cape Coral, who have already registered several individuals, but get your spot today. It's happening in November.
Any other member inputs? Going once? All right. Thank you. And thank you to our host, FSW, Dr. Robertson, for hosting us today. Our next meeting is Friday, September 27th, here again. And the Industry Appreciation Awards are coming up on October 25th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Calusa Sound Convention Center. And again, thank you to Dana Brunette for all your service. Okay, meeting adjourned.
I hope so. Good.